Herbert Grofcsik.
Are you presently employed?
Yes.
And how are you employed?
Employed by the Bureau of Customs and Border Protection, Homeland Security. I'm a federal officer. I was the police commissioner in the city of York from January 1996 until January of 2002. I retired from the Philadelphia Police Department after 33 years of service. During that time, I rose to the rank of a lieutenant. I served various jobs throughout the department. When I retired, I joined the York City Police Department.
But Herb was an extremely good commissioner in terms of community interest.
Now, at some point, when you were a police commissioner, were you ever approached by Jim Sneddon?
Yes.
And in connection, concerning sex rings, sex clubs, investigations concerning that?
I don't recall exactly how it came up, but Jim Sneddon and I, we were on a lot of community boards and community initiatives, and so we had a close affiliation. We would see each other at least twice a month, maybe even more than that. And he used to go to city council meetings all the time. I was always at the city council meetings. That was twice a month. So during the course of that one time, after he had left dispatch, he and I got together with some information that he had, and he didn't know what to do with, because he didn't trust certain people in authority in the DA's office and other places. So he came to me and asked me how we can get an investigation started on this.
And at one point, I don't know if it was Herb or somebody else, shared with me a letter from the district attorney which was really critical and biting of Herb, and told him to back off on some incident involving some police officers. And after all this was said and done, I went to Herb and I said, there's some things you probably should want to know here about the district attorney and whatever. And I said that, there needs to be a more of investigation of this. It's not going to come out of the Attorney General's office in Harrisburg because they're done with it. They won't go any further. They've got dealt. He's been sacrificed. But there are things that you should be aware of.
Now, concerning the matters where you talked about with Mr. Grofcsik, did Russell Wantz and his involvement in this whole situation, did that come up?
I'm sure it did.
Okay.
I'm sure it did.
Okay.
It almost had to.
Yeah. And again, that being that Russell Wantz was somehow connected with the prostitution activities, the Delp situation, the prostitution ring, the reciprocity club. Is that accurate?
They would all have been part of it.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And he and I talked for a while. And when I say a while, it may have been over days, or various periods of time. And then at one point, he told me he was talking to a friend that he had in Philadelphia. And if this friend came out, would I be willing to talk to that person? And I said, of course.
If I recall correctly, it involved investigation done by him and the Dispatch newspaper.
Okay.
And I think it started with Stan Delp. That after that came public, I think what he did as a person in charge of the Dispatch was look further into that with different interviews with certain people, and he had some reporters assigned, etc. And he developed some information. And then when he had this information, he came to like a dead end.
Can you remember what information?
No.
Okay.
I didn't go into the specifics of what he had. He had an envelope stuffed full of things.
Subsequently, a man came out, whose name I don't remember, and we met at the Friendly's restaurant, which is no longer in existence in West York. and probably spoke for 3 or 4 hours. At that time, I gave him copies of all the articles we had printed.
You're talking about the sex ring and
The sex ring, about the
Delp
Delp situation,
Okay.
about the DA's office. Russell Wantz, I'm sure, surfaced in that conversation.
Yeah, that's what I wanted you to
Yep.
focus on. How did Russell Wantz surface?
Well, because of the links and the things that were there in terms of the relationship with the DA's office and what was going on with the whole prostitution stuff.
Okay, so did you believe that there was a link between Wantz, the DA, and the whole prostitution ring?
We certainly had sources telling us that, and they were credible.
Whatever he had developed during his investigation. The developed situation started it, and then he just expanded.
Okay.
So I had my own problems with DA Rebert because I didn't trust him. So I think I relayed that to Jim that right now I'd have to look for a different source. And my intention was federal. The reason I didn't go to the FBI in Harrisburg was because we had agents assigned to York Police. We had a DEA agent, we had an FBI agent. I had no reason to suspect they did anything wrong, but because they were there so long, I just felt that they weren't the right people to go to.
With this information from
Right,
Jim
because
Sneddon.
even though I suspect that they were honest people, where they went with the information, I didn't know where they would go. So I was suspicious of the next couple levels. Again, suspicion is suspicion, doesn't mean anything. So I don't know how much longer it was after he presented this information, but I invited the DEA to come into York from Philadelphia. I came from Philadelphia, so I had some connections. Anyway, I got to know Mr. Reichert, and I thought maybe he'd be the contact person because he wasn't from the area. He was from Philadelphia, had nothing to do with the area. So I advised Jim that maybe this would be the person to talk to. And we made arrangements to meet outside the city. I think it was on West Market Street in a restaurant. So
Friendly's? Friendly's restaurant?
I forget which one it was, but it was about 3 or 4 miles outside the city. So no one in the city would see us and suspect anything. And that's when Jim related what he had to the DEA supervisor and turned over this portfolio of information to him.
Okay. And again, did you ever read, review, discuss the contents of the portfolio of information? Okay.
No. Wouldn't have done any good because it just wasn't where we were going to the city. It had to do with stuff outside the city, DA's office, other suspicions of other people in the DA's office, and
Suspicions
politicians.
of what, do you know?
Wrongdoing involved in the sex club.
Oh, okay. You did know that there was allegations of wrongdoing involved in the sex club, and that officials of at least county government in a district attorney's office may have
plus
been involved.
VIPs, yeah.
Plus VIPs.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we had that meeting, and then we had some hopes that it would go further. We advised the agent that to go over the material and forward to whoever he thought was appropriate to conduct an investigation, and that's the last I heard of it.
Okay. Now you mentioned that you had some mistrust or distrust of Stan Rebert.
Right.
Why is that?
Well, when I was appointed police commissioner, we had a hearing, and at the hearing we had 5 council people who were to either approve me or reject me as the new police commissioner. 4 were Democrats, 1 was a Republican. The Republican was Kelly. At the time, he was on city council. He was also an assistant district attorney.
Kelly?
Kelly. Judge Kelly now. Tom Kelly.
Yeah.
during the hearing, I was interrogated by Councilman Kelly, and while Stan Rebert was standing by, 25 feet away, watching everything that was going on, which I thought was very unusual. After it was all said and done, Mr. Councilman Kelly was the only one who said no. So,
And he was with the district attorney's office at the time.
Right, which I thought was a conflict of interest because he was serving 2 public offices at the same time. So that made me cautious in the future, and in the past I saw 2 other police chiefs sworn in after me, and they didn't get the grilling I got at that time. So I thought it was, after the fact, I thought it was suspicious at the beginning.
Okay.
But I just thought they were trying to reject me for the job because I was an outsider.
Okay.
That was my own reaction.
Okay.
But then when we did our narcotics activities, our joint ventures, we did most of our activity in the city, and we collected narcotics, automobiles, cash, etc. And this was supposed to go into a fund. Part of it was supposed to come back to the city for, police funding of various things we needed, because we just didn't rely on the budget. But it seemed like we weren't really getting our fair share of that. And I asked one of my liaisons with him to mention the fact that we didn't think we were getting enough of our fair share of funds. Well, he got very upset about that. And I was told that he blew a stack because I inquired about where the funds were going.
Okay.
So, and then another time we did we had a DA come in from Philadelphia who took over the, there's an organization in the state that hands out different funds for ventures with police and crime fighting, etc. I can't remember the name of that. Well, anyway, he came in, and he had knowledge of closing down houses after drug arrests there, and having it turned over to the state, confiscated. And we pushed for that, and the DA only did one. Made it, had a big press conference about it and all that. Did one, and that was it. It didn't do any more. So I really was not happy with him.
Now, is that part of a reason, if there were reasons why you didn't go to Mr. Rebert about the information that Mr. Sneddon had brought to your attention? Well, I think you already covered that, because you said that there were allegations that he and members of his staff were involved in the whole sex club investigation.
The reason I didn't go to DA Rebert was because I just didn't trust him.
Okay.
And it wasn't just because of the sex ring allegation. Just from my daily workings with him, seeing what he was doing, I just had a feeling that he wasn't an honest person.
Okay. Now, in your capacity as police commissioner, did you hear any allegations, or can you recall any information surfacing concerning Russell Wantz?
No, the only thing that I'm aware of is that I'm not positive, but I think we had a lease with the Shad Detective Agency for detectives' vehicles. And they were used vehicles. We had some kind of lease arrangement with the agency. And when it came up, when it was over, we were looking for bids. We asked for proposals for a new lease we put it out in public, and we came back with a lease arrangement with another source for new vehicles for a cheaper rate with maintenance included. And I heard that when he didn't get the contract, he was very upset.
Okay. Are you saying that Mr. Wantz leased you used cars and you got a better deal with new cars?
When his proposal came in for renewal, whatever it was, the bid by the other source was better and included maintenance and other things that his proposal didn't. And it was more than just two. I think there was at least three or whatever. And when we have those leases, etc., they're not just made by the police department. We have to go. I had a captain that was responsible for that, the administrative captain. When we have those proposals, we actually have to go to city council to get them approved because they're a certain amount of money and over a couple of years.
In the past, was this bid out? How was it done in the past?
I'm not aware.
Okay.
When I got there, this was the standard procedure, and I made sure we did everything by the rules and by the book.
Are you aware of Russell Wantz being involved in car confiscations with the drug task force at all?
I think, I'm not sure, that the Shad Detective Agency stored cars that were gotten through drug raids, drug buys. Those were confiscated, and after the disposition of the case, if the person was found guilty, then those cars were sold at auction, I believe.
Okay. Mr. Kiesling says in his book that you believe that these allegations may have been given file 13. What does that mean?
I think what happened was Mr. Kiesling called me a second time, and I think he wanted to know what the progress was or something or other, or follow up. I'm not sure exactly. And I just said I never heard from the federal agency or Mr. Reichert again. I never made any follow-up calls, and I was hoping that the right people got hold of the information. Something might be going on in the background right now or before, whatever. And I just hoped it didn't get filed in 13, thrown away.
Thrown away. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. What was your concern about the Harrisburg FBI? I think you pretty much elaborated on it, that you didn't mistrust or distrust any of the staff, but they had been entrenched for so long in that area that you felt best to go beyond that. Is there anything more you can add to that?
Correct. I didn't mistrust the DEA agent that was assigned to our detective bureau, nor the FBI agent, but they were there a long time.
Right.
And I didn't know who they would go to with the information. If they would have went to Stan Rebert right away, it would have been, that was my main thought, if they went to him right away. And so I just thought that it would be better to go to someone that wasn't connected with the area.
Okay. Now, are you aware that whether Wantz provides security for the Pennsylvania Turnpike, Penn Department of Transportation?
I read about that.
You just read about that, okay. And with the information that Mr. Sneddon brought to you, were you concerned as a law enforcement official that further investigation of that type of matter was warranted?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Otherwise, I wouldn't have went to the trouble of making the contact and going outside the city and making sure that we weren't seen by local people from the city. And my expectations were that Mr. Reichert probably did turn it over to some other people, probably supervisors above him, and they made the determination where this information should go for proper investigation. But I don't know that. That's a presumption.